Alright, hey, welcome back to TO's. We're working on the Chevy shop truck here, and I was planning to give you an update on the pedals, gas, brake, and clutch, how I decided to tackle that for this truck. And you might be able to recognize this pedal set from like a S10 Blazer or an S10 truck. I was able to make this fit really quite easily into this truck, but there were a few obstacles, and the gas pedal, no big deal there, just bolted that one to the floor. And then I'll run the throttle cable through the firewall. The brake and clutch, you can see I got a couple bolts up to the dash. I got 4 in the back to the master cylinder and booster. And then there's some supports that will come off of the pivot bolts there up to the dash, just to give it some extra support. But then when you go to push the clutch and brake in, the original location for the pin for the actuator rod was a little bit low, and I was looking for a 6-to-1 ratio at the instruction of the Willwood clutch master cylinder. And so I measured that from the pivot bolt down to the bottom of the pedal as the first number, and then from the pivot bolt to where the actuator rod connects, and you just divide those two and you should have 6-to-1. And I had just under 11 or just under 12, so I needed about 2 inches from the pivot bolt to where the clutch actuator attached. So I went ahead and did that just by drilling a hole and using a Heim joint. And so I got my 6-to-1, but then it's up there pretty high versus where the clutch actuator kind of wanted to be, down and to the left of the brake booster. You can see I made a little backup plate or support plate to help with distributing the load. And you can see what I kind of did, I just aimed it down in a kind of a angle. What I thought would be convenient is if that was kind of the same angle as running a flat plate up from this firewall right here, but it turns out it wasn't going to work like that. I needed to tip it a little bit more forward, so it's kind of hard to see. It's covered up by the power steering reservoir. I decided to put that right there next to the booster. But that's where the actuator kind of wanted to be, is down in between those things. So I made a plate that just had a little bit of a bend in it. So a 1/4-inch plate, just put a bend in it, drilled some holes for the actuator to go through and then mount it. That rubber hose there is goes up to the remote fluid reservoir. I wanted that bracket for the actuator to be pretty tough, so it's 1/4-inch plate. I spaced it out from the firewall just a little bit to get it just right, and then it's kind of hard to see, but I put some supports over the top between the plate and the firewall. So there's one of them there, one on the other side, and yeah, it's hard to get a good view at them now. Anyway, there's two of them on the top there. It gives clearance so you can get the actuator through there, and then I drilled holes in those and brought a fastener from the inside out and tapped into those supports. I did the same on the lower part of the plate. There's two holes. Brought fasteners through the inside out, tapped into those holes, so fasten it from the inside out. It's solid. It works really well. You can see the hydraulic tube going down to the transmission. I'll tie up out of the way, and then there's a bleeder hose coming up from it. What you get now from the way that's set up is a nice smooth straight on, don't have any side loading of that rod. Goes straight into the master cylinder. Has a good pedal feel. So I'm happy with that. Just had to couple it with a 5/16 24 threaded coupling. It's probably hard to see. There it is. And then kind of a similar idea on the brake master cylinder. It's got it also has a Heim joint. Made a little coupling. It gets my 7/16 20 Heim joint made up with the 3/8 24 booster threaded rod. So yeah, that's looking good. See my floor mounted starter. Kept that going. The old 53 theme, that was kind of where it was. It's moved slightly because of my transmission and the transmission cover. And on the left here is a high and low beam switch. So yeah, there we go. We're making some headway. That was a big hurdle. Wasn't sure how I was going to handle that clutch linkage and actuation, so it's coming along. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like and subscribe, you get to see the rest of the updates as they come out. Alright, we'll catch you next time.